DS4, the DS3's bigger, more mature brother. Now the original DS4, as you may well know, was launched in 2011, and at the time it was called a Citroen DS4 because DS was still part of Citroen. But since then, DS and Citroen, they've become their own brands, so they can do things quite differently. So not only has the Citroen badge gone, but some of the original Citroen design features have gone too. Now DS do make a very good little hot hatchback called the DS3 Performance, and it shares a lot of its mechanicals with the 208 GTI, the Peugeot. But this car, the DS4 Performance line, it seems silly to use the word performance in the title when actually it is just a trim level. There's nothing mechanically different, there's nothing different at all, apart from a few cosmetic changes. So why use the word performance? Performance, by its very definition, you expect something more. Why not use, like everyone else does, a letter like S or GTI or R or something like that to set this apart as a slightly sportier looking car, but not the sportier driving car? That said, it does look pretty good. It isn't beautiful, but it has got some quite fun little lines all over the place. And as well, performance line, you get a black roof, black 18-inch wheels, and black wing mirrors as well, and some stripes. And stripes always make a car slightly better. The interior, on the other hand, is less successful. I'll start with the things I do like first of all, and I do like these sporty bucket seats. They do feel very supportive, and I really like them. They're cloth, they feel quite high quality. I like too the fact that the sun visors can be pushed back, and it just reveals what feels like the whole world above you. You can see so much more, and it lets so much more light into the cabin. But on the other hand, there are a few things I don't like so much. This car was launched in 2011, and to be honest, it hasn't seen that many changes since then. Start with the dashboard first of all. The whole dash is covered in a kind of rubbery material that it doesn't look particularly nice, and it doesn't feel particularly nice either. It's just a bit spongy, and that to me does not shout quality. It just doesn't feel very nice. Also, the dashboard in general is quite an old style. It just feels like it needs a refresh. And the materials again, they just don't feel very nice. Anyway, to the driving, because that's what I really care about. There are 2 petrols and 2 diesels in the DS4. You can get a petrol, 130 brake horsepower, or one with 165 brake horsepower. And with the diesels, you can either get one with 120 brake horsepower or 180 brake horsepower. This is the blue HDI 120, and what that is the 1.6 litre turbo diesel with 120 brake horsepower, 220 foot-pounds of torque, 0 to 60 in 11.9 seconds, and a top speed of 117 miles an hour. And it will do 72 miles per gallon, which I think is pretty impressive for a car like this. Performance is adequate. It isn't fast, but where it really feels comfortable is on the motorway, cruising at quite high speed, because it just feels completely at home. And I suppose that is where a lot of these cars will spend a lot of their time. When you pull off the motorway though, that's when it feels slightly less comfortable. And it's more because of the engine and the gearbox as a pair. First and second gear feel absolutely fine. They're completely suited to driving around town or just normal driving. But third, fourth, fifth and sixth, they feel like they're part of a separate gearbox, like those are the gears that are more meant for high-speed driving. So when you actually pull off the motorway and you want to have a bit of fun on a normal A road, when you go from second to third is a really long gear. So even if you rev quite high in second, it just feels like you're slightly too low in third to make the most of that torque. And quite often it just feels like you're bogging down if you're driving, let's say 30, 40 miles an hour, you go from second to third. The revs are just too low in third. It just feels like it bogs down and you have to wait for it to pick up for the revs to rise, which is a shame because the actual gearbox itself is actually quite nice to use, feels very mechanical. The steering is okay. It's quite light and there's no real feedback coming back through the wheel, but as you get a bit more angle on it, it wakes up quite nicely. What I do like is the suspension. It's actually quite firmly sprung and there's no way near as much roll as you would think. I thought this car French car, that it would roll around quite a lot. And it really doesn't. And in fact, combined with these slightly sportier seats, you can kind of be tricked in your mind into thinking this is a sportier car than it is. There's just nowhere near as much roll as you'd think, and the suspension is a lot firmer than you'd think as well. And although it naturally will push towards understeer if you really go for it, there's actually quite a lot of grip. The brakes aren't too bad, they're steel discs front and back, and actually the brake pedal has got quite a nice weight to it. But the pedal kind of throws up a bit of a theme. The pedals generally don't feel like they're well positioned for each other. So you've got the clutch, the brake, and the accelerator, kind of like three little steps. And the clutch is very long, quite spongy, and the accelerator, the lowest of all three pedals, it's got a bit of dead travel right at the top of it. So if you want to heel and toe or something, it's actually surprisingly difficult to get it right. And as well, combined with the gearbox and the fact that second through to third, you need to rev it quite high in second to get the revs up in third. If you're going from third to second and you don't quite match it properly with your feet, it's quite easy to get it jumping around. Now you can get a DS4 for £20,600. The performance line starts at £22,100, and this particular car with this particular diesel engine is £23,800. It's just a bit of a mixed bag, really. There are some things that are good and some things that are not so good, and they kind of balance each other out. Like the outside is really nice looking, but the inside just feels a bit old, and as I've said, got a few issues with the quality in here. And as well, the chassis and the suspension, really good. But the engine and the gearbox, they don't work very well with each other. So I just feel like there are a few things all over the place. If they sorted them out, it could be quite a fun driving little car.